Hello, back for part two, and it's dried lighter, and it's kind of, I think, either worked in my favour or I've come back and seen have a more positive outlook on this painting, because I think there's not much more to do. I went and found this round brush and I thought I'd do a little bit of contrasting things, so to deepen the tones in the eye and things like that. Just come over here and hopefully we can rock and roll. So I've had my walk, had my tea, had a cup of tea and a biscuit after, and ready to rock and roll now. Yeah, so I'm thinking really, actually I feel like I do want to take off my boots this time. I'm thinking really that it's mostly the eye that needs to be heightened, given contrast, and then we'll see after that. I think there's a cat at the door wanting to come in. Come on then. Come on. Come on, say hello, Margot. So this is Margot. Oh, I know. I think she just wants her dinner actually. Lily, will you feed Margot? She's just coming down the stairs. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying it was just a bit of contrast in the eye, and maybe a bit of colour, like I might bring in some colour into the reins and things, we'll see. Okay. I've just taped the phone onto the paper, as you can see there. And there's a setting on your phone where you can, where it stays, excuse me, where one picture stays on the screen for as long as you want. Like you can have it stay active, stay lit up like for 10 minutes and different. I think I set it for 10 minutes. So when it goes dull, I can just touch it again. So I suppose to begin with, really the darkest bit there is where the mane meets the neck. That's kind of the darkest part really of the whole image. And maybe inside this ear is quite dark as well. And I'm working up to the dark bits in the eye. Now the bridle, the reins, the straps on the horse are all, that's a bit too dark. The straps are all almost the same colour really as the horse. So I'm not sure if I want them to be that way. Because, it's maybe less than 10 minutes. Because the thing is, I've used quite a few different warm colours to describe the skin, the horse's skin tone. Would you say skin of the horse? No, I suppose you'd say hair, horse hair. And the surface of its body. And those tones that I've used in the body, one of them would probably be the same as the straps. I think. I don't know if I want it to be. I could always just leave it white as well, maybe. Or as it is, and just because it kind of works. I think there's enough lines there that there's enough detail given. I'm going to use a different blue from the other palette. I think it's Prussian blue I've got over here, because I think that gets me a dark colour, even darker than the ultramarine blue. So that's what I'm calling Prussian blue. I'm not sure if it is really. Anyway, let's see what that's like. I I just feel like a change. You know, I think the ultramarine blue was needed. It was better. It wasn't as dark as I expected that other blue. Alright, so now let's see. There's something like that happening. And so there's an arc of darkness where the cornea or the iris meets the rim, or the eyeball, if you like, I suppose, meets the rim of the eye socket. And then here there seems to me to be a triangle of darker colour, darker shade here on the inner corner as well. It drops down there. And then there's a beautiful kind of an elegant eyelid, and that seems to be casting a shadow again onto the cornea. I don't know if it's an eyelid or what it is, but there is a kind of a darker tone here below what looks like a lid. And there'll be a darker area, but it's a bit more blue, so I'm going to get some more blue on the brush to describe where that eyelid meets the top. This bit here, the curve. There. And then there's the bit back here. It's dark. And it's almost like there's a gap in between the two. I'm going to use that same dark now elsewhere, just to kind of make cohesive the full thing. Maybe here. There's another bit of the rain going behind the other side, but it's a bit light and it looks a little bit strange. I think it's better maybe not to put it in. It's one of the things that I suppose through experience you kind of learn which lines and which shapes and straps can help and which can inhibit the explanation of form. The other side of that strap. I'll go to my beloved square brushes again. Oh, I'm very close there. And I'm going to put some alizarin crimson on the brush, and maybe some of this cadmium orange there, because I want to dilute that sharp blue that just went on there, just to stop it being too uniform with all the other darks. And I think this dark under here as well is maybe a bit severe in how it ends, so I wanted to lighten that up a bit. I think that's done the trick with that. I might also bring some into here. It's actually bringing some warmth. Yeah, and I think maybe a little bit on that panel that I excavated just in the. So there's a part 1 to this, by the way. If you've not seen it, I'll put that in the link below at least. If I put nothing else in the links, I'll at least put a link to each other part of the video, you know. So on this one, I put part 1 underneath in the description below the video. I think you need to click on a down arrow to see that description. And on the other one, I'll put a link to this one. If I don't do anything else, I do that. And I said earlier that I was going to be selecting images for the calendar, and that's what I'm going to do after this now. And the girls are going to help me. I've asked them to select a couple of pictures that they would like to see in the calendar. It's interesting to get their input, because I tend to go for the same ones all the time myself, and you know, they noticed that, and they were encouraging me to try different ones. So I thought a couple of portraits, a few figurative, maybe dancers or something, and maybe I could include some of the girls as well. Actually, Erin's modelled as a dancer for me a few times, and Hope as a violinist, guitarist, and Lily is modelled as a sleeping child for money. And she's also modelled as you know, for me to do the side profile. Okay, I'll just get you'll see videos of them like this. I think I should maybe I was thinking recently I could do with ordering the YouTube videos a lot better. I could create playlists, for example, where it's the family and Maisie that are being drawn, so that they're all easily found. Just for myself as well, like sometimes I'm referring people to things and I can't even find the video myself. I think that blue is okay for the reins. Just here and there, it might be good to give it a bit of clarity. That leather strap. I mean, really, it's closer to crimson. Let's see what that would look like. This part is closer to crimson, really. But the other bit going that way was a bluer looking one. Bluer looking strap. And then that's where the saddle would be. Just underneath the eye, the top of the saddle. And back. Yeah, so about here. I might obliterate those first couple of attempts. And I think I might stick some colour into that water now and see what happens, because it does look quite bright over there as well. The water is actually really lovely to work with. There's always a surprise, you know. It's lovely to allow it to play a part, I find. And sometimes letting a colour sit on top in a pool of water will bring new life to it. Even in a painting that's been laboured over, you can retrieve that liveliness through placing coloured water over the top. I remember maybe I was 12 or 10. I think it was probably 12, and my sister took me out in the darkness one night to ride the pony. She had a pony called Beauty. Grey, beautiful pony. Maura used to, she really loved it. Anyway, it's one of my magical memories of childhood, was going out with Maura in the dark and going on beauty for a ride around the field, but it was no ordinary ride. It was incredible. Like I sat on her back, and I remember cantering, really. We were galloping and cantering around the field, and I don't remember directing her or having any real influence really over where she was going. The field was enclosed, so I was safe enough, but I'd never been so fast. From the feeling, it was fast, and I could feel the wind in my face and my hair, and I suppose I had a riding hat on. But I remember the feeling of freedom and not being able to see the ground moving, but knowing it was moving quickly, the grass, and it being so dark everywhere except for the back of the horse, the back of the pony, and her breath and her smell and holding on and just cantering in this inky darkness. It was so exciting. Oh, I can summon up the memory again, and I probably have embellished it. Like, I wonder if Maura remembers. I must ask her. I wonder if she remembers that night. I've kind of lengthened that ride as well. Like, I went all the way around the field in my memory, and I don't think ever before would I have been on my own on the pony, you know, because she was liable to roll over or anything. When we were out on the beach with her, she would sometimes give herself a sand bath, and you could get caught underneath her if you were on top of her. Like. So it was quite an unusual thing to have had that level of confidence and freedom, and I think it must have been quite if I was about 12, a nice coming of age thing to do. And after that we got a windsurfer when I was about 14, and I think a similar feeling, in my memory it was a similar feeling, that cutting through the waves and the wind and the leaning back. I remember the back of my head touching the water, and then, you know, driving the windsurfer onto the sand. It was a really exciting sport as well. I mean, we had a big old clunky windsurfer, but it was a safe enclosed harbour near where we lived, Harbourview in West Cork, and so you know, it was fine. It was a safe spot. But the sail we had was massive, like a really big. It wasn't like the cool storm sails that other folk had.